What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I want to talk about the point of diminishing returns in American production folding knives. I've been referencing that a lot in my videos lately, and I've been pretty vague about it, so I think maybe it's time for me to describe exactly what it is that I'm talking about and how I arrived at that conclusion. Keep in mind, the exact point of diminishing returns is probably unique for every single person. So I'm not suggesting you take exactly what I say in this video as absolute law. I'm going to do my best to kind of not show the exact line, but get closer to it and make sense of it. Because I think a lot of stuff has changed. I mean, definitely a lot of things have changed in the knife world in the last 5 years. And I want you guys to know, exactly where I stand on this stuff. I want you guys to know who I am and my how my thoughts translate into the words that I say. So the knife in front of you here is not an American production knife. This is a $5 Walmart Ozark Trail knife, and it's a common pocket knife. Now, it's here because I kind of want to slowly walk you guys through a process. Somebody comes up to me and says, all right, it's maybe somebody I work with. Now listen, you really like pocket knives. You've been showing me some of these nicer ones. All the pocket knives I'm used to look like this. But I'm interested. Let's say maybe I've shown them some examples of quality and explained a little bit about steels and things like that. So now they're ready to spend a little bit more. And maybe the question is, how much do I need to spend? How much do I really need to spend to get a really good pocket knife? So that's what this is all based on. Like, how much do what's my response to somebody who asks me, what do I really need to spend to get a knife that's going to last me a really long time, that's going to correspond directly with how much money I pay for it? This is the part where I know a lot of you guys are just ready. Your fingertips are ready to start typing and start arguing with me. Keep in mind, we are not talking about, if we're talking about all folding knives, everything from every country, then this video would be much different. But we're talking about just American production knives. Obviously knives get better than this. The Rat 2 is a great knife, not an American production knife. The Bestech Lion is a really good knife, but again, not an American production knife. A lot of people still like the Delica. Again, not an American production knife. But my argument would be the reason that we're talking about American production knives is knives do get better than this. I know how much you guys love that Rat 1. Pocket knives do get better than the Rat 1. You can pay more money for something that's going to gain additional benefit than the Rat 1. I think the line starts, this foggy line that we're going to attempt to talk about, at about $100. And that's honestly what I tell people. Right at about $100, you can get yourself... Now, I know, Kershaw makes some nice American assisted knives that run 40, 50, 60 bucks. And then they have the USA-made Kershaw Blur, an S30V. And those are great knives, but I honestly think at $100, there's a line where you can gain benefit, not only in utility, but in terms of fit and finish and tolerances, which do benefit you in the long run. Take, for example, the Spyderco Manix 2, the base version of this. Now, we're not going to talk about the lightweight version, and here's why. I don't like FRN. I don't recommend FRN to people. I've had FRN scales off of knives, and I can physically break it. Now, I know that that's not, really what I should be basing my opinion on, because the scale attached to the knife is where I should measure its durability. But I can't get that idea out of my head now. I can physically break FRN with my hands, and I cannot. I can bend G10, and it'll watch it kind of try to unweave itself, but my thoughts on durability between FRN and G10 is that G10 is simply superior to it. So I can't undo my thought process in that. So when I recommend, when I try to talk with people about what I think they're going to get, where to put their money, I exclude FRN. I tell them that G10 is a fantastic handle material. It is lightweight, very strong, resistant to chemicals and the elements. It's not gonna, water's not gonna cause it to expand. It's also not gonna contract and expand or contract in heat and cold, anything like that. It's just a great material. So that in mind, and we're talking about American production knives, I like to recommend manual American production knives because I feel like the less parts that there are and the less complicated those parts are, the more dependable the entire system is. There's simply less to fail. So all that in mind, we start at about $100 because the Spyderco Manix 2 comes to mind. The basic version of this, I think, is about $110 G10 and S30V. CPM S30V is a premium powder metallurgy steel, very well rounded. So you get stainless properties, you get good edge retentive properties, you get reasonable toughness. And in the case of the Spyderco Manix 2, you get it in a blade shape that is very, very utilitarian. The entire package is made very well. It's easy to deploy. Everything that we want from pocket knives, it starts to exist all as one package right about here. It starts to exist there. This is what I want. Very, very close to a centered blade. This one's not perfect, but I know some Manix 2s are. No blade play, easy deployment, good ergonomic design, good materials, made in the United States. Everything fits together. This is about where I start to see consistencies. I've seen inconsistencies with some of the less expensive USA-made Kershaws, but I stopped seeing it as much right about here. Benchmade still has some issues, but right about here. Now, the next question is okay, can I spend a little bit more money and get something better? Well, arguably, you could. I don't know that I personally would say that this is a better knife, but a lot of people would tell this person you could go up to about $140 and get the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, which some people would say has a better blade design. Has a better, or maybe a lot of people would say has a better ergonomic design. Most people are going to argue that the compression lock is worth the additional money because of the ease of manipulation. Or they might say that it's stronger, It's a foggy area, but there's a lot of people out there who would say that the Spyderco PM2 is worth bumping up an additional $20-25 to buy, even though it's also G10 and S30V, but it has that fit and finish there. So, this person, let's just call him John. John says, all right, these are two great examples. Could I spend more money and get something a little bit better? I would tell John, yeah, I think you can, John. I think you can spend a little bit more money, and I think you could get something better. Remember, John is looking for a pocket knife that he can use every single day for as long as possible, for as many different things as possible. And he wants to invest a certain amount of money into it that directly corresponds with the maximum utility he can get out of it. And I'm doing my best to find that exact thing for him. Now, preferences and knives and colors and all that stuff, that's all going to be different for every person, but I'm trying to help him find that line. Let's say he doesn't care what it looks like. He's 100% concerned with utility. He's a perfect specimen for the topic of this video. Because I know you guys are going to want to bring that up. Well, everybody's got different tastes and things like that. Okay, but just in terms of utility, I would say, yeah, you can bump up to about $155, and you can get yourself, if it's available, what's called a Ritter Hog MK1 G. Everybody knows this knife has appeared in so many of my videos lately. M390 blade. Many will say M390 is more premium than S30V. We're also going to pretend, for whatever reason, that John is a master sharpener and does not care about how difficult M390 would be to sharpen. Like me, I hate sharpening M390 and 20CV right now. It's just a nightmare. But you have a equally impressive blade shape, very functional drop point blade, ground incredibly well. You have contoured G10 handles with a really nice traction pattern on them. Feels a little bit nicer in hand, a little less blocky than these two. Feels a little more premium. You still have the structural integrity of G10 and the cartridge liner underneath, which is steel. But you have this more premium blade, and you have this locking system that is probably more expensive. Not necessarily better, but it might be more expensive to manufacture. A lot of people will say that the Axis lock, or the Able lock in this case, is a little bit stronger. So John's going to say, so, well, what's special about M390? Well, M390 is extremely stainless. And, you know, given what most people are likely to use their pocket knives for on a daily basis, you know, the toughness, which is what you trade off to get this corrosion resistance and edge retention, which, by the way, John, the edge retention, or how long, you know, this knife is going to hold an edge, is incredible. Some would consider M390 to be the most premium blade steel on the planet right now because of its combination of edge retention and corrosion resistance. You do trade off a little bit of toughness, so it might be a little bit chippy, but like I was saying, what you're going to most likely be using this knife for on a day-to-day basis, it's probably going to handle it. You know, it's got some good stats in there. This is an incredibly well-rounded knife and absolutely worth the $155 that you're going to pay for it. So John says, okay, that's awesome. Can I pay more money and get better than this? Oh, man. Okay, we're getting foggy now. Better. What do you mean better? Well, I mean, like, is there a knife that's better? Is there a knife with a better locking mechanism, in terms of like strength, where I'm not sacrificing weight? Maybe does it have a better ergonomic design? Is there one with a better blade steel? Boy, not better blade steel, and it's going to be really hard now because we've got an example of a blade that's ground by a lot of people's standards perfectly. You know, better, I don't know. Better could mean stronger or bigger or different blade shape. You know, I don't know. The Spyderco Jamming costs $180, $185. A lot of people aren't really happy with that because you're looking at S30V now. Yeah, it's got contoured G10 scales. It's got the compression lock of the Spyderco PM2. A lot of people like that. And John would say, well, so wait a sec, I got to pay more money and I'm not getting as good a blade steel? Well, you know, I mean, this is a design that a lot of people really like, and, you know, initially they were only $100 to $155, but then Spyderco bumped the price up because everybody liked it. Well, maybe that one's just about how it looks. That's maybe what John would say. Is there one that's actually better? I don't know. We could start talking about frame locks and bearings. You know, a lot of people really like bearings. And titanium. Oh, titanium. I've heard that stuff's really strong and really light. So is that better than steel? Well, you know, I mean, in terms of the strength to weight ratio on titanium is really good. This is a frame lock. A lot of people say it's really strong. Or actually on the 0393. The 0392 would have been a better example here, but the 0393 is what I've got access to at the moment. This is about a $200 knife, John. $200. But you get titanium and you get bearings inside the pivot. Well, what does that do? Well, it creates for a smooth action and a very fast deployment. This is a flipper, so you can deploy the knife faster. Fit and finish is excellent. It's also made out of a blade steel called S35VN. Well, is S35VN better than M390? I don't know. Not yes and no. I mean, it's tougher, but it's not as edge retentive. Most people consider it to be less premium. Well, can I get M390 or 20CV on something like this? Yeah, you can. It's going to cost about $240 to $260. You're going to pay a big bump. Well, now I'm getting the same blade steel as this $155 Ritter Hog, but so the extra money's going into the toughness or strength of the knife? Well, I mean, arguably, not really. I mean, the strength of the locking system on this frame lock or liner lock isn't necessarily going to be stronger than the Axis lock. But a lot of people like the benefits of titanium for its corrosion resistance over steel. So maybe, if you're going to be getting your knife wet all the time, the frame would certainly benefit from that. Bearings aren't necessarily better than phosphor bronze washers, which is what these are going to run on. Phosphor bronze is going to keep gunk out better, but bearings are going to allow you to get that smooth feeling action. You know, it's kind of nice, has the fidget factor. Well, okay, so John says, well, bearings sound more like maybe that's just a, sort of a personal satisfaction thing. Like it's fun to play with, right? Yeah, I mean, kind of. You know, it's the line's getting foggier and foggier and foggier as we go up. Just okay, so I'm not 100% sure I want to go higher than that, higher than $155 yet. I've not seen anything ultra convincing. I can understand why some people might put more money into that, but nothing's really convincing yet. Does it get more expensive? Oh yeah, it definitely does, John. You could go up to the Microtech SOCOM Elite. That has M390. That's got the same blade steel as Ritter Hog, and it's on bearings. It's got an aluminum handle. Is aluminum better than titanium? No. A lot of people consider it less premium than titanium. In fact, you can find aluminum, on knives that cost less than $100. But I know that particular SOCOM has a different grade of aluminum. But we're getting foggier and more messy as we go along here. Okay, so I'm not convinced there. I mean, yeah, that's cool. It's got the M390 blade steel and it's big and very aggressive looking. But I'm not feeling like, beyond just the preference, wanting to have it for how it looks, how big the blade is, stuff like that. I'm not seeing any major benefit still beyond this point. Do knives get more expensive? Production knives? We're not talking about mid-techs or customs. We're talking about production knives. Yeah, they do get more expensive. I've got an XM18 here. Let's pretend that one's M390 because I've got another one that's M390. The one you're looking at here is S35VN. Let's pretend it's M390. M390 blade steel. It's running on bearings that actually can be switched out to phosphor bronze. The entire the knife comes standard in G10 and titanium. It's a frame lock for $425. Wow, that sounds expensive. The knife that's right beside it, you said I can get that, the zero tolerance in 20 CV or M390, and this one right here is $425, or if I want to go full titanium for $625. Is there a benefit to it being all titanium? No, I mean, not really. You might be able to make an argument for strength and durability, but I mean, at what level, is it that strong? Is it $400 better in terms of strength? Well, I wouldn't say that all your money is going towards strength. There's a lot of fit and finish upgrades. There's some, if you look closely, a lot of the attention to detail on an XM18 is done really, really well. But John might say, well, but the attention to detail doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the knife's performance. I'd say yes and no. Tolerances, and fit and finish can have to do with how a knife lasts over time. And he might say, well, how's the fit and finish on the Doug Ritter versus the XM18? Are you saying that the Ritter Hog isn't going to last as long? No, it's actually really good. The Ritter Hog has excellent fit and finish. It's also got excellent action, locks up solid, good blade steel, So, given this conversation, I mean, this is about how it would go down. I'd walk him through there. Now, I realize I'm missing a whole bunch of models and good examples there, but, this is what I've got access to, and it kind of would help me explain, as things go up. My point is, and you guys probably understood my point 10 minutes ago. My point is that, to me, it seems like beyond here, not necessarily right here, but beyond here, it's really hard for me to continuously recommend that somebody spend more money. Sorry about that, everybody. My phone just decided, I guess, that it was done recording. Anyways, beyond this point, I have a hard time, continuously recommending that somebody spend more money. Sorry, I had to adjust my table there. But now, I want to be really, really clear about this. I'm not saying that anybody who decides that they want a frame lock and can justify it and love it and you get a ton of use out of it and it's amazing, I'm not saying you're wrong. That's what I mean about this being foggy and about it. This line is not necessarily a definitive line. It's a range that is like an average of what a lot of the knife community, or this part of the knife community, seems to think, and combining that with my own thoughts and then translating it into a video. That's what's happening here. So, you know, don't think that. What I mean is that I simply have trouble with the justifications or explaining exactly what you're getting in terms of a utilitarian benefit beyond this point. You know, you sit down with me and you have this conversation, I'll walk you through it, and I can tell you what I like about some of these more expensive frame locks. I'll talk your ears off about what I like about Hinderer knives. But do I think that I could, you know, justify that additional money to somebody who's looking for a utilitarian tool that's very premium and well made, because he wants to use it and he wants every dollar to count? No, I mean, it's really, really difficult for me to make those justifications and translate them perfectly. To me, this is just me, the Doug Ritter RSK MK1 G2 is the best value knife that I've ever seen. I know we're not talking about foreign-made knives, but that includes everything that I am aware of in terms of the really good foreign-made knives right now. That includes them, and I'm aware of a lot of them. You guys can, you know, in the comment section, if you want to recommend I look at a different knife and try and change my mind, you can, but you're probably not going to. I'm a little bit biased towards that because I love the Griptilian, and I've kind of, you know, owned multiple Griptilians, and I love it for a lot of other reasons, but I just always thought it was lacking, and then all of a sudden Doug Ritter and Hogue make the perfect one. You know, we've talked about that before. But that's right there. The Contour G10, it's textured, so it fits your hands perfectly. The shape is already an amazing ergonomic design. The fit and finish is excellent. The blade shape is excellent. The size of it is excellent. The blade steel is excellent. It's plain enough to be considered a tool. There's nothing really on here that's about flash. It's all about the utility, even the pocket clip. And it just happens to look nice. But there's nothing on there that's embellishment. It's a tool. And it's a maxed out tool, you know? The weight is good. The deployment's good. The locking system's good. I mean, it's a tool. It's just an excellent tool. In my opinion, you gain a little bit more than these guys right here. But there's nothing that these other guys on the table could do definitively that this knife couldn't. So for me, that's where the line is. But like I said, your line and your point of diminishing returns is different. Now, also, that's not to say that there is nothing beyond that point. It's diminishing, meaning there's less and less and less. Yes, titanium is probably a better handle material. I love titanium. There's probably more benefits to titanium than the G10 and the combination of steel. Some people aren't going to think that way, but a lot of people are. But it's how much of a benefit you're getting versus how much extra you're having to pay for it in an American production knife. Kaiser knives use titanium, and they only cost like $150. I know. There's a lot of Chinese brands out there using titanium and S30V, and they've got excellent designs, and they're right around $150. We're not talking about Chinese knives. And even if we were, I'd still say the Ritter Hog is right where that's the most recommendable knife to me for the most amount of money. So I don't know. This is a touchy subject. This was difficult. This is like the fourth time I've done this video, because every time I went back through and watched it, I was like, you said something there that's going to make a lot of people mad. And so this is the final version of it. I got everything out that I wanted to say in an example that I think will, it'll make sense to a lot of people. And I hope you guys hope you guys aren't upset with me. But just take this for what it's worth. If you don't agree with me, then maybe apply that line of thinking, I guess, to whatever knife that you consider the line to be. Or if you've never actually tried to explore that for yourself, then ask yourself, what is it that I really want from my folding knife, in terms of utility? And what amount of money, could I spend to maximize that before it starts to go backwards in terms of what I'm gaining? Well, then that's your line. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there is definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.